going into the office for like the final meeting like this other kid had and then I had, and I'm in there and I'm falling asleep in the office. I'm falling asleep in the meeting, and that just sealed the deal. The other kid,
you're the guy gone.
Yeah, other kid got the job. It was the best sleep I ever had, turns out, because if I was still doing Hebel.
You're listening to Locals Only, a Sunshine Coast-based podcast focusing on profiling the best young and emerging business owners the coast has to offer, showcasing the journey of the next generation of movers and shakers and the ones to watch as they set the benchmark in small business. This podcast is sponsored by Local Property Group.
Scott Jury, my friend, welcome to the Locals Only podcast, mate, episode 2. How you travelling?
Fantastic, bro. Yourself?
All the better for being with you, mate, as always. Mate, let's do a quick introduction on who Scott Jury is to begin with. Australis Roofing. Mm-hmm. Got the branded hat. Did you bring some hats for us?
No, I didn't, bro. The last one just got a bit damaged, a bit dirty, and I've just cracked this one out of the cupboard, brand new one.
Yeah, right. Jeez, well, you could have got 2 or 3. Anyway, how's business, mate? What's Australis Roofing do?
Mate, mainly commercial size metal roofing, in commercial, industrial, government, defence. We've sort of transitioned out of more domestic style stuff, insurance jobs, into commercial, industrial, large scale. I think the size of the company has grown to is the only stuff that really it needs to be the biggest stuff. It's just not feasible for us to do anything.
Yeah, fair enough.
Small stuff anymore. Yeah.
Well, we'll park a lot of that. We'll come back to that in a minute anyway and deep dive into what you guys do and what it's all about. But, mate, I guess the purpose of the podcast, though, is interviewing, local coast business owners and hearing origin stories and what they've been up to and what's got them to this point. I think, I'm probably a bit biased here because I know a lot of your story, but I think yours is a cool one. I think that was what was important for us to get you on early on, because there's a lot of people that have gone through a hell of a lot less shit that you've gone through and still whinge about trying to make it in business, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to day one, Scotty Jury. Let's talk about your origin story, mate. Where'd you grow up? What was family life like? Parents, things like that. Give us a bit of an intro.
Born in Townsville. I moved from Townsville to Sunshine Coast to Landsborough when I was about close to 2 years old. We lived on our grandparents' farm for a year or so while my grandfather built us. He got a house shipped in on a truck, a removalist house into Landsborough, and him and a couple of mates, they built that and set it up for us. Then we moved into that, and I lived at Landsborough then my whole life until I was an adult. So farm life. What was the farm? That was family farm? Yeah, my grandmother. No, it wasn't Townsville. No. Family farm was here on Conondale. Okay. So Mum moved up to Townsville with our father at the time, for work and whatnot they had up there. Mum's younger brother moved up there with them. And it wasn't, we were only there for a few years. Had a fatal car crash Mum was in with her younger brother. And me and the 3 siblings, my brother and sister, Danielle and Matt, we were all in the car with Mum. All of us went flying through the window.
Oh.
Yeah, their uncle passed away on that one. It was pretty horrific sort of a crash.
How old were you then?
So I was 15 months old. Matt was a month old. And my sister was 4.5.
Jeez.
Oh. Yeah, so all of us on the bitumen, poor old girls hanging on to 3 of us. She's still breastfeeding Matt, who's only a month old, and then had a brother, passed away in front of her on the road and had to sit there and wait for people to come and help her for quite a while. That was actually just outside of Rockhampton. They were in the car driving down to come home for Christmas, I think it was.
Yeah, wow. There you go. So how's your mum after that?
Oh, man, she's tough as nails, but it was something pretty... It was a pretty horrific thing. So she was feeding, I think, and asked her brother to grab something for her. So he undid his seatbelt and reached over, grabbed something out of the glove box.
Back then as well, right? Cars, no seatbelts.
We're in a panel van.
Yeah.
Kids were in the back of the van. Like, it was just...
Man, that's insane. Does Danielle still remember it?
No, I don't know if she remembers. She remembers. I think she recalls snips of going to the funeral. And there was a viewing, and I don't know whether it was her or Mum that told me that she said she went up. She's like, "Oh, Mum, that's not our uncle," because she couldn't recognise him. He was that badly. Yeah, so it was a pretty bad one for Mum. Sort of blamed herself for that one a bit. But not long after that, we went back to Townsville. Her and Dad went separate ways, And then it just got a bit much for her, looking after 3 kids and, lost a brother. So my grandparents, they've been there for us for our whole lives. They drove up, packed up the house, packed up mum, kids, drove us back to the coast and lived on the coast ever since.
Yeah, okay. And obviously as a family, for those who don't know, you guys are, tight as hell, right? Between the 4 of you. What was it like growing up, mate? Tell us that for the record, that Landsborough house is still there.
Drive past it every day. Yeah. To work.
Yeah, she's still there. The wife actually laughs at me because I tell the kids every time when I drove past, that's the house I grew up, and she's like, shut up, Scott, they know.
So the family life growing up, mate, what was it like? Tell us, so Dad, where was your dad?
Mate he moved to Sydney, and he spent, that was it. He lived in Sydney from then forward till a year and a half ago. He's moved to the coast.
I don't think I've ever asked you this, but what's your relationship been with your old man?
Love the dude.
Of course.
He's my father, but we never saw him. We saw him once, if we're lucky, twice a year. Do you know what I mean? For maybe a 2-week holiday or something like that.
What I wanted to talk about today at some point as well, and this is kind of, you never really think about this from an outside perspective. When you get deep into these conversations, you start to put some things together, right? Like one thing I wanted to talk about today with you was like being all cliche and stuff, like leadership and all that jazz, because you've always had that in spades and you've always just taken control of situations, whether it be friendship groups or business or whatever.
Yeah.
If we're to rewind to, 18-month-old Scotty, 2-year-old Scotty when you moved to the coast, I mean, ultimately, let's look at behaviours, right? Behaviours, clearly some sort of father figure behaviours somewhat stepped in at some stage and led to where you are now.
Oh, there'd have to, or maybe lack of a fathership role probably stepped in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how much in business it does, but I know now that I've got my own children, the way that I look at me with those children, like that has significantly impacted how I raise my kids.
Yeah, for sure.
But look, we had a stepfather for maybe 10 years. He was sort of around. I still talk to his kids like they were brother and sister. We all grew up together, but like he was just a fuckwit.
Yeah.
Proper fuckwit. And that was me being mild. I was going to use a worse word.
That's pretty good for you anyway.
Yeah. He was fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just if he didn't have weed, didn't have something to smoke, it was just a volatile person. Never touched us or anything like that. Never hit us or anything like that. Constantly would threaten to, but just a fuckwit, mate.
Yeah.
So that was that was just shit house, but it is what it is. Our mum was always good. Mum always raised us with love and looked out. You know what I mean? We're rat bags, like, we all grew up in the same area, mate. We all did the same shit.
So let's talk about that then, mate. Let's deep dive into that. Growing up, so obviously you come down here when 2, wasn't it? 2.
Yeah.
2. So go to school locally. What was school life, mate? As for Scotty Jury, were you smart? How'd you go at school?
Yeah,
obviously a ton of trouble, of course, but what was it like finding sort of friendship groups and figuring out your path? Because I know that, particularly when you get to sort of 13, 14, it's just a bit of a shit fight, right? So but you've always just been this guy that's just going, look, I'm going this way regardless. If you're coming with me, great, get on board, but I'm not listening to you if you're going any other way. So and surely you're aware of that. You know that you're that type of personality. When did that kind of forge? What was the backstory and all that growing up?
Look, school was good. I didn't mind school. I enjoyed school. I'm an extrovert. I love being around people. Do you know what I mean? So I love being around friends. It was a social thing for me. I never found learning difficult. Like I'm a big kinesthetic learner. So if I put my hands on something, I'm sweet. Like I might take someone might have to explain something to me a couple of times until it clicks. Once it clicks, I'm fine. Maths and stuff like that, no worries. I never had to. I suppose fast forward to high school, I never did any assignments or homework. I hated that shit. Couldn't do it. Couldn't bring myself to do it. I just thought, what a waste of time. It was just like last minute on the day, fill it out, do it. But I always passed.
So did you go to grade 12?
Yeah. Did grade 12. I think back now because I just got a trade out of school. if I could turn back time, I probably would have left in grade 10.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I never really formed any like really close friendship circles in my own grade that I don't talk to, I don't think, anyone out of my grade from school. Like I acquaintances and people I see and I say hello to and obviously polite, but you know what I mean? I left school and then just did my own thing.
So let's talk about that. What was after school? Did a trade? What was the trade?
Plumbing, mate. I remember leaving school and got through Christmas and I remember just going, this is fucking epic. I'm not going to school. And Mum was just like, righto then, hurry up, get a job. I'm like, yeah, well, chill. It's my first year of not having to go to school. And she's like, mate, you're living in my house, you're paying rent. Go and get a job, mate. And she drove me and it was just like, I think I got like 3 weeks or something max and I was out, had a plumbing apprenticeship. I was fucking off it.
Did she sort the apprenticeship or did you go and find that?
No, I had to do that.
Yeah. Shout out to Bigsy, eh?
I actually, that was my second boss.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did end up jumping. So I got a job. I actually took a traineeship installing Hebel, right? And Hebel? Yeah, Hebel.
What's Hebel?
Like aerated concrete. Panels and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, look, the dude was taking 2 guys on and 1 guy'd get the job, right? So I'm out on site with this old German dude and he was a hard ass, right? And he's like, by the end of the week, you'll be lifting these panels, like 80 kilo panels. I'm a 17-year-old kid. I'm like, bro, I ain't lifting them panels. And mate, he was fucking into me. And I remember going into the office for like the final meeting like this other kid had and then I had. And I'm in there and I'm falling asleep in the office. I'm falling asleep in the meeting and that just sealed the deal. The other kid.
You're the guy gone.
Yeah, other kid got the job. It was the best sleep I ever had, turns out. Like, because fuck, if I was still doing Hebel.
Yeah. Righto, so what was the transition from Hebel to
plumbing?
Plumbing, righto.
Yeah, jumped onto plumbing. Worked with a fella in Watala. Absolute cockhead. He was brutal, man. Back then, I employ a lot of kids and I get kids whinge about how hard things are and stuff like that. I'm like, man, you've got no idea. Like, I remember I got my lip pierced. I showed up to work, had my lip pierced, and the boss's son, he's in front of me. He goes, hey, Dad, this dickhead's come to work and he's got his fucking lip pierced. What do you want me to do? Righto then, he's coming to see you. You better fucking stay here.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, God, here we go.
So how long did that last with that mob?
Mate, I got about 1.5 years, 2 years in. I had a chat with Bigsy, Ron Morris, plumbing, thank God. And he's just like, basically this dude just employed me to be a labourer. That was it. He didn't care about giving me an apprenticeship. I remember he'd just tell me, I remember a lady saying, hey, we can get we had to redo a stormwater. Hey, if you want to get an excavator and dig, he goes, nah, this little cunt needs to learn how to dig. That was his exact...
Carrying sandbags and digging holes.
That was his exact words. He needs to learn how to fucking dig. I'm like, oh, God.
That's hilarious.
But, yeah, Bigsy put me on. Ron Morris, he said, mate, if you're here to do an apprenticeship, you're here to learn how to plumb. I learnt more in those 2 years than I learnt ever.
Very good.
He was a great boss.
Oh, it's a funny story on Ron Morris is I was looking at one of the boys' houses. He's building out a glass house and Bigsy's crew was doing the plumbing. And one of the other boys walked through and he said straight away, he's a builder, walked through and says, oh, who's doing your plumbing?
Yeah.
Because he still uses copper.
Copper, yeah.
Like no one uses copper anymore. But Bigsy still uses copper. Just getting in there, just still welding it.
It was epic, man. Look, because I got to learn how to use it. It was good. It's like we use copper. Everyone else runs PVC pipes and stuff. Yeah. He's like, nah, we use copper. So it was rad for me because I got to learn copper welding and running copper and bends in it. Do you know what I mean? And I love being able to do something and sit back and look at it. So you do these water lines in a rough in a house, you step back and look and go, fuck, that looks rad.
Yeah.
I used to love standing back and looking at the work. But, do you know, so that was a real good thing working with Bigsy. Finished with him. I contracted for a bit plumbing and I didn't work for a little while there. I was too busy partying and doing whatever he did and, you know.
Do you want to dive into that or is that another conversation?
Those days.
So, how old are we now? So, you finish your apprenticeship. You probably
finished that, mate.
21?
Yeah, 21, 22. Well, I didn't quite finish. Me and Bigsy had a falling out right at the end. And we're mates, you know. I've spoken to Bigsy several times then. I've got a lot of respect for him, get along with him really well. We had a falling out like just before the end and, yeah, fuck you, whatever. And so I ended up getting a mate to sign me off. Signed off, finished. Mate, I used to do anything to make money. I was good at making money. whether it was legal or illegal. just make.
Mate, we'll go as deep or as not deep as you want.
I don't need to go too
deep. But ultimately, you got to a point. You know, you're obviously early 20s. You've figured out how to make some money and get your trade behind you. So, like, what are you doing in that stage? Like, is it like how many days a week are we partying? Talking at that stage, are we talking?
Oh man, that was
six days?
Yeah, boy, that was. Well, so I lived in a apartment directly across the road from the wharf there at Fridays. We had a penthouse apartment there. And it made $380 a week, fully furnished penthouse apartment. This is back in 2004 or something. Man, it was epic. Walked straight across the road from Fridays. It's like, it's $2 drinks. It's Tuesday, we'll go over and have a little peep. It'd be Tuesday, then it'd be Thursday. And from Thursday, just rolled Friday, Saturday. Recover Sunday, back to work. When I was with Bigsy still, I was doing that. And every Friday, the boys would have like, some of my mates used to have what they call a fast Friday. They just have a little bit of speed and they'd go to work, have a fast Friday. Fuck. So I'd have a fast Friday and Bigsy loved me. He's like, fuck yeah, Scotty, good to see you ripping in, mate. You turn over and you leave. And
that's hilarious.
Come Monday, you piece of shit. And I just get, crashing. Man, it was just every week, eh? But so it was.
That obviously lasted a while, though, a few years, right?
Years. Yeah, partied pretty hard. It got to a point. I was plumbing for a bloke, and he was a bit of a cockhead. And I rang a buddy of mine, Reese Fullick, lived down the Gold Coast, and just told him, I said, man, I'm over it. He goes, well, come down to Goldie, do some roofing with me. And I'd learnt roofing in my apprenticeship. It's a part of the plumbing apprenticeship. And I was like, sweet, quit my job. The next week, I moved to the Gold Coast, started roofing, and just loved it, mate. Everything I did in plumbing, whether it was a drainage, they throw dirt over it, you can't see it. You put pipes in the walls, they cover it up, you can't see it. Roofing, I got to work in a team instead of working on my own. You know, being the extrovert, love working with people. Every day you get to step back and see what you did. Just loved it. Just never stopped roofing.
So wait, how old were you when the roofing started?
Probably 26, 27.
Okay, so what? Let's go from. And how long have you had Australis for then?
Mate, I was in 2011. I was Scott Jury trading as Australis Roofing, just under my ABN as a sole trader. Then come to 2014 or 15, I registered it as a company, Australis Roofing.
Okay, and just you working solo?
Yeah, that was back when I was still on the tools. By the time we switched to a company, I was starting to get off the tools and had a couple of contract gangs and that underneath me. And it's just grown and grown and grown from there.
So let's talk about growth then, because growth's a different thing altogether. Because ultimately, because a lot of the stuff was just storms and stuff, right? It was just...
That's what it started. It was insurance work.
Insurance work.
Well, I loved it. I used to work all around Australia. I'd pack up and go anywhere and get paid to do it. Good money, good job.
So when did you go, do you know what? Screw the contractors, guys. I'm just going to grow my own team. Like, how are we talking... Like late 2010s? Is that like 2006, 17, 18 or?
2014 I started. 2014 I was using contractors and I still had my own team. It wasn't probably until maybe 2017, Broken Hill, big hailstorm down there where I started really building the team and growing, and we had a cracking 2 years down there.
And you're just flying in, flying out, or are you based down there at this point?
We were just we didn't fly our guys in and out, but this is where the work is, guys. Come and stay. If you guys want to, go home once a month or something, let us know, and they book their own flights and off they'd go.
Okay, so it's all kind of started off that one Broken Hill deal, right? That big
Broken Hill was when I first started getting a heap of. That was probably the first biggest cash injection.
And how does it work? So you do some insurance work for one insurer, they then keep bringing it back to you every storm? Yeah, do you build a relationship and it just kind of builds from there?
Not many roofers work direct for insurance company. Most of them will go work for the builders. Most insurance companies will go to the builder and they'll cover everything. We were a direct panel repairer with UE Insurance. So that worked in our favour a lot. And UE were one of the only ones that were going direct. To individual trades. So that helped us out a lot. And then we did work for several other builders and loss adjusters and whatnot.
So you're doing, because it was purely just insurance
It was
for a few years, right?
The problem was...
So you're just chasing storms, literally.
And that's the problem is you have like a broken hill where you just go bang for 2 years.
Yeah.
But it was peaks and troughs. And then it's like, cool, now that the company's grown this big, I need to make sure there's continuity of work. I can't just have a trough now because I've got... Sure, the roofers could come and go quite easily, but when you've got all the office staff and rents, our overheads just started to grow with the size of the company. Do you know what I mean? So we came out of Broken Hill and, do you know what I mean? Well, I think after...
So what's the crew size after Broken Hill?
Broken Hill, we probably had 5 people in the office and we had, 15, 20 guys or something, roofers running around.
Yeah. Now, this is obviously, you've predicted this though, right? So you've gone, okay, it's a gamble putting these guys on, putting a full office in, knowing that this job's going to be ending at X time. There's no storms on the horizon for all we know. It might be a dry spell for the next 12 or 18 months for all we know. So what's the contingency plan there? What are you doing to I guess, preempt what was coming?
Well, so Broken Hill, we had a pretty good influx of money. Like, we made a fair bit of cash, and it's like, cool, we've got money in the bank.
Sit on
Let's spend it. Like, do you know what I mean? Commercial stuff, let's go for the more bigger scale stuff, the commercial stuff. But first off, we need an estimator. We need a bum in a seat. Do you know what I mean? So we put on an estimator. Let them, because I didn't have time to start to be quoting this thing, and not some of the size of the projects that are coming in. I need someone that could just sit there and spend time. So that was the first step, put on an estimator. We had a little go up in Darwin, and we did a bit up in Northern Territory for a while there, and it's a pretty hard market at the time we were there. We burnt a few $100,000 up there, and we still do work up there. And then after that, we came back. And there was a storm on the Sunshine Coast. So the whole time in between these storms, we knew we had to grow that side of things.
But you're growing against guys who have, like, I'm assuming that it's still a pretty healthy competition, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, definitely. you're going up against businesses that are, 10, 20 years old, right? Like, have had a stranglehold on this market or that niche for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Just going in there and just underquoting these guys, or
no. I think that was one thing that I'll never do is we just went in and go, this is the price. Do you know what I mean? Like,
so how you win a business then?
If you've got your 3 points, do you know what I mean, of your sales, you can be, quality, service, or price. Do you know what I mean? They're the 3 points you've got: quality, service, or price.
For sure.
You can't be all three. You can't be the best price and be the best quality and service.
Yeah, good point.
You can't. You can never be all three. We're quality and service. We'll tell you from the start, we will not be the best price.
Yeah.
But if you want someone that can do it, that's reliable, that can show up and get the job done, cool.
So you're winning business back then on pure just like energy and a bit of grit, right?
You're just going in there. Good relationships based on, do you know what I mean? Having a bit of integrity, like, do you know what I mean? The amount of jobs that we've fucked and gone back and fixed it, the amount of people that, don't put their hand up to stuff like that to go, I'm not fixing that, I won't go back. I've had plenty of guys that do it, but, do you know what I mean? I've got too much pride in myself to have someone be able to walk away and go, oh yeah, Scott, he's dodgy, he never does this. I'd rather lose tens of thousands of dollars and go back and fix the job.
Yeah. Than ruin the reputation.
Takes forever to build one, takes a second to lose it.
Yeah. So, okay, so you're going in quoting up against these guys who have been in town for a long time, always won all the business. And you're you're 4 years into roofing, right? Not a huge amount into roofing. So it's
no.
How are you even getting these relationships? How are you getting in the door to begin with to these larger scale commercial jobs, particularly?
Yeah, I think that's something that I've done good from the start, is build relationships. Do you know what I mean? And maintain them. Yeah. I've got guys that I've maintained relationships with for years, and I'll give them a call and check in on. They might be a supervisor from this building company that I work for. It might be, this loss adjuster over here, but I'll keep in contact with them and, maintaining relationships, not burning bridges. And, do you know what I mean? You'd be surprised where it gets you. But we were never going to, big towns and trying to compete. We don't even want to do work in Southeast Queensland. There's a million roofers that are willing to do it for nothing. Do you know what I mean? We base our stuff on going places people don't want to go.
Yeah, fair call.
We'll go remote places in the middle of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? I've worked in Aboriginal communities and mine sites and that all over.
So that's your niche. Your niche is going where no one else wants to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And still charging $1 for, like, your standard price for it.
You get paid you get paid more than what you do in the capital cities. You get paid more, you get treated better. Do you mean the crap that I've copped from homeowners and stuff like that doing houses in Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast compared to going to a little country town?
So they're grateful?
Yeah. Just the stuff, like, do you know what I mean? And so maybe it's a law of averages, maybe because there's just a higher population density or something. I don't know what it is, but for example, the people in Chinchilla, when we did our storm out there, were 10 times better generally to deal with than the people were in Brisbane.
Yeah, right. That's interesting.
There's some real just nasty people.
So are you doing this on, look, you've just found what works, don't break what's not, or don't fix what's not broken, or are you doing it just going, can you see, like, you do a job in a remote community or a rural town or whatever it might be. Are you finishing that job going, all right, I've done something good here, or whatever, or are you sitting there going, sweet, it's a bucket load of cash coming in? What, like, where's the motive to keep pushing those areas that no one else wants to work? Is it purely financial, or is it going, right, there's something bigger and better here that's kind of still helping me put my head down at night? Yeah, right. So it started as purely I get paid to travel to places I'd never go. Do you know what I mean? I'm working on Groot Island in the Gulf of Carpentaria. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to beaches that white men aren't even allowed to go to unless they. Do you know what I mean? That's how it started. Is I just love traveling to these places. The money in that was epic. I get paid good money to do it as well. I did some contract work I worked for Capricorn Roofing for a while, and Rocky used to own Capricorn Roofing. Used to call me Hollywood Roof, and he goes, I'm going to nickname you Hollywood. He said, I've never met a roofer who gets paid so much. And fucking, he used to always have a laugh about it. But I was just like, oh, that's the money I want. But, mate, I just enjoy going to those places, and now it's a good business model for us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There's a pain in the market in these areas where we're in areas now where they can't get people in. Do you know what I mean? And that logistical nightmare jobs, I'll take them. I'll put my hand up and go, cool, we'll handle it. Your staff churn isn't like, what's your staff churn look like if you go into those areas all the time? Mate, we turn over roofers a fair bit, tradesmen, but, we always have. I think they especially nature guys that travel, for something else pops up and they'll go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? But right now is the best team we've ever had. Best team, like our team culture at the moment is epic. What are you doing for culture? Just paying them well, looking after them. What's the culture look like on a day? All of the above. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's paying them, but it's genuinely caring about our team. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got a HR manager, and she does all the studies and gives you all the stats on on how all the new employment stats and stuff. And it's funny, like, people's pays, I think she said, is like number 5 on the priorities. Yeah, number 1 is feeling like they're making a difference, or feeling like they're heard, enjoying where they work, things like that. It's crazy, like, the stats on it. Pay is so far down. Do you know what I mean? Culture is a huge thing. But we generally care about our team. So we have days for our team. We have, we give our team personal wellbeing days that they get so many a year. We do company events. We've just started an inaugural suicide awareness day that we do each year with the team. And yeah, great. I mean, I've gone and done our team all up in Central Queensland, took them all, like, everyone just stand down tools. We had a big day and did a big breath work thing and ice baths and, just out of the box stuff. Look, after I still go up there and get on the tools with the guys. Do you know what I mean? There's no better way to earn respect off the guys, just get in there and work with them. Yeah. Just anything, but we generally care about our team, so I think that shines through a bit. How big is the crew now? How big are we talking? So you've got guys based. Between Australis Roofing and Australis Constructions, office team and trades, we're looking about 70. Yeah, okay. And then if you add in, I think Australis Safety Rail and Australis Scaffolding and Australis Fabrications, they're looking, I think they're roughly 70 as well. Well, okay, so you've got Australis and then you've got what, 3, 4, like sub? So I've got Australis Roofing, and then I've gone into partnerships with 2 mates into Australis Safety Rail. That thing's just gone bananas. I had a good buddy of mine, Joey, come to me years ago and said, mate, I'm sick of being on the oil rigs. I can't do it. I want to come home. And that's how it started. It was all right. And we,
started making this safety rail company, doing the edge protection for all the
just
roofs.
from nothing, just ground out,
just from nothing. And Luke Harper Green, Luke's in on that as well. And that thing went from, we bought 1,000 meters of guardrail and a busted ass old truck, and it's grown to, we just purchased, I think, our 19th truck the other day.
Jeez.
About 60 kilometres of rail, 10 utes.
Where are you storing all this stuff?
Mate, most of it, we use that much of it that most of it's installed. Their guys are literally going around dropping gear and putting it on another one, so they'll go drop it. It's really interesting talking to Joe about the stats on that. He can tell you how many meters each truck holds. And
so what's Scotty Jury's role in all that then? Just chief of overseeing everything? What's your day to day?
My buddy, he's the managing director of that. He runs it. We have meetings and catch-ups. At the start, it was just piggybacking off Australis Roofing. Do you know what I mean? So that's how we started. I had plenty of work for it, so it got it going.
But have you got, so I'm talking like each individual sub-brand now. So have you got like MD or like managing directors inside each?
Joey's the managing director for all three of those.
Yeah.
And then practically a silent partner. We have catch-ups and go over stuff, but, minimal. I don't touch it very much.
So you're purely just culture, just making sure shit's getting paid, shit's getting done, making sure...
For Australis Roofing, I don't have to make sure any of that stuff happens for safety rail scaffolding. So safety rail now has grown that big and we've moved into scaffolding. Scaffolding is just starting to go bananas as well. Yeah. And we've set up a fabrications business which repairs all the gear, makes new gear for them, stuff like that. They're all going gangbusters. Since then, me and my sister... we've started Australis Constructions, so I'm halves with her and that. So I'm the only person that has essentially a share in all of them, but and I own all of Australis.
Are you going to these guys to start these side little gigs, or are they coming to you? Where does this even come from? Is it like, have you just got ideas coming at 2 a.m. in the morning going, shit, let's do this? Or how's the brain work?
Yeah, definitely do get a lot of ideas. Joey's taking care of pretty well everything on that side, safety rail and scaffolding. It was like, hey, we need to do this. Cool, let's go for it. Do you know, lately I think all I do is sign new paperwork for new trucks when they come in. Do you know what I mean? I just had a chat with Joey the other day and said, man, this thing's, becoming a monster.
Yeah.
We need to sit down and have regular board meetings. We need to start, because this thing's doing,
It gets scary at that point, it's just
looking at doing 8 figures or something this year. I was like, we need to sit down and we need to start formalising this stuff. And as for the construction company, me and my sister just always spoke about it, and she's our CEO at Australis Roofing, and it's always been mine, but she's always had a big part in it, so it's a real good way for me to do something with her, and she's such a hard worker.
Let her build something.
Yeah, let her have something that, is going to help her and her family out as well.
Yeah, cool. So what's, there's a bit else on the go though as well, right? What's the clothing thing? Let's talk about that.
That's Nikki's, the wife. So she's started up for ages. She's a real creative person. She's been talking about doing kids' clothes. We had 2 boys first, and she's always whinging that you just can't find boys' clothes anywhere unless you want to buy Paw Patrol or, you know what I mean? Like,
you're talking to the wrong hombre. Yeah. No, man.
None of the shit you want to buy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And she's always talked about it and had all these cool ideas.
So boys' clothes only?
She's got a few.
What's it called?
Mad Rock. Because it's our son Madden and Rocky, Mad Rock.
Yeah, cool.
And then we've had so many hits for girls things. She actually just brought out a Miss Mad Rock little range of just a couple of towels and stuff like that just recently, and who knows where she's going to take that thing.
So this is purely Nikki just running this, right?
Technically it's both of ours, but it got to the point, and do you know what I mean? I suppose, her having 3 kids it's just like a loss of identity, or she was a mother and she had all these good ideas and said, I want to do something. I said, well, if you're going to do it, do it. Either we're doing it or not, and we rip the Band-Aid off. She sees a business. We see a business coach for every one of our businesses, sees a business coach. She's got her own business coach. I'll go to meetings with her and stuff like that. And it's been good because we've been able to, pull some money out of Australis Roofing to set it up and it's starting to get some traction now. It's doing really well.
So what are you doing? Just social, like Instagram and stuff?
Yeah, she's got and she takes care of it all. But
that's how they're selling it. Like she's puts it all on Instagram and you got to shop.
Pretty much, yeah. And we've been talking to a really good marketing company that we just in the last couple of months started dealing with, and they deal with they look after the top 10% of e-commerce businesses in Australia.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so we started talking with those guys and do you know what I mean? They're sort of sitting there ready to go when we want to scale it up.
So what's next then? So you're kind of fingering a few pies.
Oh, mate, we've got...
It's a big pie.
It's a big couple of pies.
Do you know what I mean? I think you just bite off more than you can chew and then chew like fuck and...
Yeah, but that's what's keeping you going. Like you're getting out of, like how are you feeling each day at the moment? Like energy's high.
I'm getting ready for Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm definitely ready to... Look, we've got a lot going on at the moment between companies, investment properties, kids, do you know what I mean? Lots. But I'm, like you said, that get up at 2 a.m. and if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm not getting back to sleep. Like the brain's just ticking.
There's a line though. Something about execution or something. Like everyone's got 99 ideas, but it's having the ability to push out the 99 and just execute on the one that's most important. Like we all sit here and we're all sitting there going, "Shit, we could create this. I could add that in or whatever else." But everyone's got the ideas. It's the execution of it, and clearly to execute 3, 4, 5 businesses, that's probably that's the blueprint, right? So
huge. It's having a lot of people in your corner too. Do you know?
Yeah, good point. So who's your corner?
Mate, so Australis Roofing was having my sister.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I could always bring the work in. I could always work on the relationships and, build the clientele. From the start, she was the one that made us look like a company. Do you know what I mean? I started off as a tradesman. I'd show up in pluggers and footy shorts and, do you know what I mean? And I remember our first, meetings and stuff we'd have with, say, U Insurance, and she'd be like, "Can you please put on a collared shirt?" I'm like, "What? Do you know what I mean?" I was stuck in this tradesman. Do you know what I mean? And then the first time she got me into a collared shirt, she wouldn't let me send an email. She's like, "Just send it to me. And she'd
reword it.
She'd just go over it, fully grammatically, just fix everything in there. And
good. Everyone needs.
And she's put in headers and footers and signature blocks on my emails to make them look. And if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have. Do you know what I mean? She was sending the emails to people read and go, "Oh, these guys look like a
official business."
Yeah, she made us look like a business. She always worked on the business. I'd work in it. Do you know what I mean? I'd bring the business in. She made the business look like a business.
A line that we use all the time, right? It's what got you to where you are won't get you to the next level. Your hard work, your ethics, your networking, the relationships, all that jazz got you to a business.
Yeah.
But it's only going to get you so far, right? When you're a bit rough around the edges, like all three of us really are, you need someone behind the scenes to just polishes it, right? That's probably the best word to use. Polishes the turd.
Yeah, and look, and then me and the wife started having kids. If I didn't have Nikki at home, mate, best mother I could ever ask for. So her looking after the kids allowed me to still be at work doing what, doing what I was doing there. So that was having someone, good in my corner. Then when we went into business with mates, like Joey was just so driven. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, I didn't have to eat out of that company. That was just a thing on the side. If it made money, it just came in a pocket without having to touch it. He was in there. He'd quit his job. He had to eat out of it. Eat out of it. He was all in. Do you know what I mean? So the drive behind him to one of the most hardworking guys I've ever met, and just so fair and honest. There's not a doubt in my mind with.
And the business coach, who's your business coach?
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Bruce. That's right. Yeah.
So we see Bruce for our personal staff in Australis Roofing, Australis Constructions, sees Wade Grundon, and then Joey and Safe Rail and Scaffolding, that see Bruce Campbell as well.
So where you are now, how much of that do you put back into what you've taken from business coaching and
personal development stuff,
systems?
And Mad Rock sees Wade as well. Look, we'd be spending a couple of $100,000 a year on coaching.
Wow.
Between all the companies.
And what are you getting out of that? Systems and processes and
sometimes it's just not making a silly decision. Sometimes it's just, having the ability to run something past another person that goes, "Hey, what about this?" Or, sometimes it's the most basic things and you go, "Shit, that's a great idea." But it's just having someone in your corner that's thinking clearly. You might be stressed and got a million things going on. It just goes, "Hey, breathe. Try this," or "What about this?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I don't know how I didn't think of it." Sometimes it's the most basic things, and sometimes it's just holding you accountable. When you go in there, you're like, "What are the top 5 things that I need to happen now?" So, right, I need to do this. I need to do A, B, C, and D, and then it's going back in a meeting in another 3 weeks and go, "Cool. Where are we on A, B, C, and D? Okay, plans changed on A, don't need that anymore, but B, C, and D are done. E's turned into this. Cool. Next 3 weeks, let's work on. It's just constantly keeping those rails on and keeping you on the same path. Sometimes you can get so caught up in everything you got going on, you just start spinning in circles. Do you know what I mean? What do I touch first? What do I do? I think sometimes that helps the most.
If you had the option of, like, let's go early in Scotty's business career, if you had the option of picking up a business coach earlier, would you have? Or did you need to learn those mistakes?
With the knowledge I've got now, yeah, I would. But back then, not a chance. Then my sister dragged me into the first thing, kicking and screaming. I was like,
I don't need this.
What is this shit? Do you know what I mean? I went to the first forum or something that he held, and they play all this, this pump-up music as you're walking in. I remember everyone's clapping as we're walking in, and I looked at my sister and I just said, what the fuck?
That's not your vibe, hey,
at all. What the fuck have you done? And she just laughed. Mate, and fast forward, I've been to that many. I'll go to one tomorrow. I'm in the form for the next 2 days. Yeah. Love it. Send me there.
Even if it's not learning something new every time, right? That stuff, it's sometimes just refreshing one little thing that you've forgotten about and just clarity.
100%. Sometimes I've learned or heard some of the same teachings 4 times in a row, and the first 3 that haven't meant anything to me, and then the 4th time it just totally relates to something that's going on. Like,
timing, right?
Yeah, it totally relates to something that's going on right now. Fuck, that teaching is perfect for me right now. Do you know what I mean? So tomorrow I go to a thing that he calls his Mad Day, which is Massive Action Day, and it's just about getting everything together and planning for next year instead of going through Christmas and then coming to January and going, oh shit, what am I doing? It's about getting all your shit together, find out what you need to do, planning, being organised so you hit the ground running next year.
Yeah, cool. Well, mate, let's wrap it up with one more question. I think I already know what the answer is going to be on this, but it's a funny one even asking you. But I think more around routines and structures and stuff in your own life and whatever else, gym, reading, keeping your energy levels high. Like, I think you'd almost, for someone looking outside in, I think you'd look at Scotty Drew and be like, that guy wouldn't do routines and whatever, because you are a bit off the cuff, but I reckon you'd be structured as hell at home. What does it look like in day to day? Again, routine, gym, reading books, shit like that. I mean, into that kind of stuff. What does it look like?
You won't get me reading a book, and it's not because I don't want to. Like, I always think how good it would be, but I sit down and I just think, fuck, I'm wasting time.
Yeah,
I've got to learn to shut myself down to do it. Do you know what I mean? I just get itchy and I'm like, fuck, I've been sitting here and it's taken me 5 minutes to read the first page, I'm out.
Yeah. Do you know what about times? Like, you're waking up at the same time,
gym every day. At 4:30 every day, or through summer, 4:30.
Alarm clock or no alarm clock?
No, I set it, but
you're up before
I always wake up 5 minutes before my alarm. Can't help it. Is
that a tradie thing? You just get up early every single morning for your whole life? And
I don't know. It's just what I know. I don't know.
I hate waking up to an alarm clock, eh? My body's the same. I'll wake up before if unless I'm having a very early meeting, I'll just avoid it, because that sound just gives me anxiety from the start of the day. I'm like, man, I just can't start a day like that.
Look, summer's awesome because I get a bit of sun through the blind and just wake up naturally.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty well 5 days a week up, go to the gym with some mates at 5 in the morning, 5:30 to work, do the work routine, home, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, once a week I do have routines to a degree, but I'm still pretty loose. Once a week, on a Thursday, I normally go out to the farm Thursday morning. I'll go and ride the horse and do some stuff out at the farm. Or
just get some mental peace.
Yeah, I can go out there and it just, nothing seems like a chore. It's relaxing. Reminds me of my childhood, being out there with my grandparents and that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fully calming. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, labour intensive. It's just, I feel like I'm achieving something when I'm out there.
Sweet. We'll wrap it up there, mate. Australis Roofing, Australis Constructions, Australis everything. Where do people follow you? Have you got Instagram, Facebook accounts where people can watch the journey, or you're not into that stuff? Scotty Jury at Instagram. Go and give him a follow. Boost his follows up and see him. Yeah. Where's the Mad Rock? They can follow Mad Rock, sure.
Yeah, Mad Rock.
Follow
kids.
Mad Rock. There you go.
Mad Rock kids. Yeah, go buy some shit.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.